everything from my phone, doing a polygraph exam, and just ask them to do, here you go, search everything, just do everything you can for the kids, right?
So today we're going to talk more about a possible theory of what might have happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. And this one is kind of odd, but if it were true, it might be a happy ending for the kids. Malehya Brooks Murray is the mother of the two missing kids, Lilly and Jack Sullivan, who were reported missing on Friday, May the 2nd of 2025.
I love you.
Lilly is, she was my little dream girl, the first granddaughter. And I loved that she had the brown hair and she had a space between her teeth, which I had when I was a kid. So yeah, she was our little princess. Jack was such a sober, serious little baby that he didn't like to smile. You could tickle him and he would look at you ever so serious, like he was really studying you.
At this point, the kids have been missing for 5 months. The kids were 4 and 6 years old when they were reported missing on that morning of May the 2nd at approximately 10 a.m. Now we have this character who appears one of Malehya's relatives, and specifically this man is Malehya's grandmother's cousin. I found out that he goes by 2 names. I'm not sure why, for what reason this man has 2 totally separate names, but yes, he goes by the name of Darren Gettis and by the name of Durwood O'Grady. So you see those names are nothing similar to each other. Now, as I was saying, this man is a relation on Malehya's side, and he has come out saying that he knows what happened. Now, let me know in the comments if you've heard anything about this man, Darren, and a connection that he might have with Daniel. I did hear early on that the 2 of them did know each other, but I haven't heard much else about that since. Now, according to an interview that this man did with the CBC, Durwood, or Darren, put forward a theory that Malehya put the children in a vehicle and sent them away before reporting them missing. So this is a huge statement, and I have to wonder where he's getting this information, why he's saying this. Does he have an ulterior motive? Is there any truth to this? What has been done to this point as far as this theory? It's been out for a while. This is not something new, but what have the RCMP done? I'm sure they have gone out and interviewed Malehya after hearing what Darren has to say. Darren has suggested in social media posts that Malehya may have been involved in the kids' disappearance, but this is his theory. He also suggested he might know the location of the kids, as an RCMP investigator wrote. So I find this pretty mind-blowing. This man coming out saying that he might know where the kids are, and on May 30th, this is pretty early on, 2 RCMP members met with Darren, who told them he spoke with Daniel a few weeks after Lilly and Jack went missing, and also spoke with Patty Pearson, Malehya's grandmother, about the investigation. So Darren is saying that he spoke to Malehya's grandmother about the investigation. The constable said Darren was confrontational and evasive to questions asked of him and wanted police to provide him with information about the investigation. This is in documents. So now we have a bit of a clearer picture. We have this relative of Malehya who is talking to Malehya's grandmother, and we find out that he wants information about the investigation, and specifically that they're saying he was confrontational and evasive to questions. Quote, he became upset when his questions were not answered. A little bit further along on this whole timeline, on June 26th, Malehya gave police a video recording of a phone conversation between her grandmother and Darren, who is her grandmother's first cousin. The conversation was recorded on the evening of June 21st, and it's not clear if Darren knew he was being recorded, but there appeared to be an expectation of privacy, the document said. Unfortunately, it's not clear from the records exactly what Malehya's grandmother and Darren said during the conversation, but the RCMP told CBC News on Monday that the recorded statements were reviewed to determine relevance and credibility. Now, this is pretty interesting because we have Malehya who's giving a video recording to the RCMP, and the recording is of her grandmother and Darren. And according to this information, the RCMP found it to be relevant and credible. Now, on July the 4th, CBC interviewed Darren, and he shared similar theories. However, they could not verify the information that he'd given them. But it is interesting that as far along as July 4th, all the way from May the 2nd, he is still sharing this theory. So this is the intriguing mystery that we kind of have to go over this and figure out what exactly does all of this mean. We've got Malehya, we've got Malehya's grandmother, and we've got this guy Darren. Why in the world would this man be coming forward and saying to the police that he thinks the kids were taken away by Malehya? And what did he want to find out from the police? What questions was he asking? Why was he being confrontational and evasive? And why did he become upset when his questions were not answered? So at this point, I have to wonder, what is the relationship between Malehya and her grandmother? And what exactly is the relationship between Malehya's grandmother and Darren? I think it would be so easy for the RCMP to have an investigation into this whole theory because it came in quite early on. That was on May the 30th when the RCMP met with Darren. So now we're at the end of October. You'd think after so much time they'd be able to find out if there's any truth to this. But this theory is still out there. It's still floating around and nothing has come of it at this point. So I'm really wondering, what was the conversation between the RCMP and Malehya? They would have gone to her and questioned her regarding this information. No doubt they would have wanted to hear what Malehya has to say after Darren has pretty much, I guess, thrown her under the bus in a way. This would be good if it was true, because it's pretty hopeful to think that the kids are still alive versus a worst case scenario where they're not alive, either lost in the woods, which there'll soon be a snowfall covering everything over, or that the kids have actually been secreted away, hidden away on some relative's property, on a reserve somewhere with extended family, somewhere possibly very secluded where nobody knows. Is it possible that there's truth to this theory? Now, I'm full of suspicion because there's so much information that has come out from Daniel, and it seems to me, in my own perception, that he's putting suspicion on himself. But with Malehya, she has been so quiet. Other than that letter that she wrote, there's nothing much to go on from her own words because she doesn't give much commentary at all. I think if this whole situation truly had unfolded in this way, where Malehya had put the kids in a vehicle and sent them away before reporting them missing, I just think if she wanted to get the kids away from Daniel, then at the point when the police became involved, she could have simply told them that herself and the kids, she wanted them to be safely away from Daniel. I don't know exactly for what reason, but she could have come out at that point and told the police, hey, this is not what it looks like. The truth is, I was trying to sneak away from Daniel and the kids are safe. I just don't want Daniel to be around the kids. And then it would have become more so a case of, let's say, a separation, child custody, safety issues, something like that. There would be no need for this whole thing to balloon into a huge case of 2 missing children. So I don't know, is it just me who sees it this way, or is there more to this that we have to consider as far as why this theory would continue on so long? Like I said, it's been 5 months now. You figure by now the whole thing would have unraveled and the truth would have come out. Also, we have heard from the 2 grandmothers, the biological grandmother, who is Belinda, and Daniel's mother, who is Janie, and the 2 of them have not hinted at this theory. I know Belinda's side of it.
My heart tells me these babies are gone. My heart tells me that. But those woods, I started to feel that I can't see them being in the woods. There's trees everywhere. You literally have to climb over trees, climb under bushes It is really, really sick.
She thinks that somebody hurt the kids and that the kids are no longer alive. As far as Janie, she hasn't hinted at this theory at all. And Daniel has not either.
I get up, come over here, fed my chickens. My brother, Ron, called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town with him. And I said no. I said I'm staying home. I said I'm going back to bed. Okay, I went and I laid down. Next thing you know, my dog started barking and the kids were out in the yard. Now you can see there's 2 swings where the kids play. My bedroom is right there. I heard the kids. This is where the kids' swings are. This is where they always played.
And so that's where
I heard them. And I can hear everything in that trailer. If 2 kids get out of a fence, and Jack and Lily are all the time yelling, especially Lily, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. It's all I hear out here. When the kids get out of the fence and come out through here, I would have heard them yelling, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go. I didn't hear anything.
Do you think your son had anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily?
No, I don't believe Daniel had anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily. Our heart don't lie, and my heart is telling me that my kid did not have nothing to do with this, and I had nothing to do with this. You know, if something bad happens, you get like your heart drops. Mine hasn't dropped. Deep down in my heart, I do believe Jack and Lily are alive. It's not because of what people are saying. It's my heart tells me that they are alive.
I don't believe Daniel has said that Malehya put the kids into a car, into a vehicle, and sent them away. So I kind of find this whole thing very suspicious. I don't really know what to make of it, but something important that we find out within this report, we find out that Darren was being evasive to the questions that the police asked. They wanted information for the investigation, and also he's the one that was becoming upset when they wouldn't give him information. So I guess he was fishing around with the police during this whole conversation, wanting to get more information. And of course, we know police protect information that they do have in these sorts of investigations. They're not going to hand off information which has to remain confidential to protect the integrity of the investigation.
To be clear, we don't have evidence to suggest that an abduction took place at this time.
Is it something you're still investigating, whether or not they could have been abducted?
So we're exploring all investigative avenues. So on the morning of May 2nd, approximately 10 a.m., our CMP officers received a call about 2 missing children in Lansdowne Station. The information at the time was that they wandered off away from the property, and I can tell you that our officers got at the scene very quickly, and we were monitoring the situation and hopefully finding the children very soon after that.
So it's very quickly. Officers arrive, and then what? You expected, it sounds like you're saying, that you'd find the children quickly, or hoped you would anyways. That didn't happen.
So Kayla, what I can tell you, from experience, you look at missing children. I've been involved with a handful of cases since I've been with Strategic Communications. Most oftentimes, the children are located very quickly after officers arrive at the scene, right? And that's our hope every single time, that they wandered off and you can find the children. Because I'm sure, like every officer out there, I'm not on the road currently, but your heart is pounding, the adrenaline is rushing, you're trying to find those children, right?
This case started just like that?
That's
what you're
correct.
describing, you thought you'd go there, find them very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And our officers were nearby in an ongoing search for a kayaker that had gone missing the day prior. I can tell you I was monitoring the situation remotely. And our officers, I could tell they were getting there as quickly as possible.
There are some, as you are aware, many theories out there. Some people think, well, maybe it's really just a tragic accident. Maybe they just wandered off into the woods. But you've said that it's suspicious. So at the very least, why does the RCMP view this case as suspicious?
So every missing persons investigation is suspicious until it's proven that it's not. If we don't have that information to say that it's not suspicious, we have to continue to assume that it is suspicious and access those resources and tools and follow up those tips and find that evidence until we find the people that are missing.
So you don't think they were abducted, but you can't find them. How do 2 young children just vanish?
That's a great question, Kayla. And we are asking for the public for tips and information. And to date, we've received close to 500 tips. So we have to follow up on those tips, right? Whether it's a tip that indicates that there could be something that happened elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in the country, we have to follow up on those investigative tips to rule them out. And to this date, we haven't had any confirmed sightings.
But there have been tips that lead you to other parts of the country that you had to check.
As with any investigation, oftentimes we do get tips that you have to verify that are elsewhere, yes.
You have said that the children were last seen alive the day before. Can you tell me about the nature of that?
So we know they were seen in public with loved ones the day prior. The specifics aren't being released at this time.
Okay, and so that's the day before, so that's May 1st, but you've specifically asked for video back to April 28th. What's the reason for that?
You know, when you establish a timeline for any investigation, you want to know where these individuals were prior. They may have been in contact with someone that you want to know who that person is. You may see something on that footage that you didn't know about prior to that. You know, we talked about license plates earlier and seeing them from a different angle. You might see someone that's known elsewhere. Maybe it's someone that's known to police. You never know. We really are seeking all investigative avenues in this case.
There have been some complaints that an Amber Alert was not issued. I understand that the criteria is very specific. Was that considered? Is it still possible?
Absolutely, Kayla. You know, on the day of the incident, I can tell you I was working. I reviewed the policy that morning. We have to have a suspect or a person of interest when it comes to abduction or a vehicle. You know, in terms of sending out an alert, when you send an Amber Alert, you want to direct the public to look for a specific vehicle, to look for that license plate, to look for that suspicious person, to have a photo of someone or more information to suggest that there was an abduction. In this case, you know, they are young children, certainly vulnerable people, and a vulnerable person alert was issued.
Does the RCMP know what happened here? Even if you can't tell me, do you know?
So what I can tell you is that we're exploring all investigative avenues.
Do you have a case? Are you building a specific case that's leading you in a certain direction?
In this case, the investigation is still being investigated under the Missing Persons Act.
It sort of seems from the last news release that you issued, the reason I'm asking these questions, I read that news release and I thought, I don't think they have any idea what happened here.
You know, when it comes to missing people, it's very complex. It can be very long-term investigations. It can be difficult on first responders, especially when it involves vulnerable people. And we have to be patient, and we have to follow the leads and follow the facts and evidence that we gather to bring us to locating the children.
Does the RCMP think Lilly and Jack could still be alive?
That's a great question, and we want to locate them and find them. And our goal is to investigate every single avenue until we find them.
Is it possible at this point?
That's a great question, and our role is to find them in the evidence surrounding their disappearance.
You mentioned a lot of the tips you're getting. I'm sure you're aware there's extraordinary public interest in this case. Some people are frustrated that the RCMP is not saying more. We understand it's an active investigation. And in some cases, the lack of information leads to speculation, and rumors are rampant online, and that's done some harm on the family in this case as well. What, though, would you say to the public who are begging for answers and just want to know what's happened here?
We have to be patient and certainly rely on our news releases and official sources of information. You know, don't listen to those rumors that are out there. We're putting out those news releases on a regular basis with information pertaining to the investigation. We have to be very cautious as to what type of information we release because we want to make sure that it doesn't affect the investigation.
I think some people in the public are starting to wonder, is it possible that we may never find out what happened to Lilly and Jack? Is that possible?
I wouldn't be able to answer you that question today, but I can tell you that our investigators are seasoned. They are committed. I've worked with some of them personally prior in my career, and I can tell you that they are committed investigators to this missing children's investigation.
Anyhow, I just feel that now after seeing this information about Darren, it seems like they are pretty suspicious of him, but it doesn't help as far as figuring out what really happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. So let me know, what are all of your opinions? What do you think's going on here with this guy, with his theory of Malehya? And is this something which is more like a red herring? Is this going to waste the time of the investigators and take them off into the wrong direction? Or is it possible that there is some truth to this theory? My own opinion, now that so much time has passed by, 5 months having passed by, I just think I tend to go more with Belinda, her theory or her sense of this. Her feeling of what's happened to her grandchildren is that somebody, hurt them. She doesn't think they're alive. And I just think if it was something like this where the kids had been taken away, she would still be hopeful that she would see her grandchildren again. She loves those grandchildren. I think she would hold on to hope. I think for sure Belinda would hold on to hope that Lilly and Jack were still alive if she believed in this theory. So it would be interesting to find out, to hear what Belinda thinks about Darren's story. Does she have any hope? Did she hear anything from the RCMP as far as this theory? Most recently, there was a cadaver dog search. And so that more so indicates they're looking for Lilly and Jack, not hidden on a reserve, but somewhere on the land, hidden on the land. And my guess would be that they did already look into this theory that Darren put forward and that they came up with nothing. But who knows? So guys, please leave me your comments down below and remember to subscribe, turn on your notifications so that I have you back next time. You won't miss out on the next video. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Hopefully the RCMP will be able to figure this one out soon and the case will be solved. I really don't want to see this case go on for another, 2, 3, 4, 5 years with no answers. We've seen that happen too many times in other cases that we've followed. That is it for today. Take care and I hope to have you back real soon. Bye for now.